Growing up in Glendale all my life, I always loved the local landscape. The mountains, the exotic flowers, the cacti. But one thing I used to love the most was the orange trees located north of my house. One of my fondest memories as a kid was my family driving past the orange groves with the windows rolled down and just smelling that sweet aroma of those orange blossoms. As time progressed, the orange groves were disappearing and were being replaced by developed land. Once I graduated from high school, I started looking into Glendale's history more. During the first half of the 20th century, Glendale became an agricultural hub for fruits, vegetables, and the occasional cash crop. One of the city's bigger cash crops grown in the 1900s was sugar beets. People of Glendale capitalized on this crop so much that a sugar beet factory was built in downtown Glendale.
We see the beginning of that marvelous transformation which, truly, makes the desert blossom as the rose. Amazing crops are stimulated as water releases imprisoned mineral plant food.
After 10 years of the sugar beets being harvested and processed, farmers of the area stopped growing the beets due to the lack of growing conditions and the harsh weather that came with it. Even though this venture didn't pan out well, this loss did not faze Glendale's development. During the time of the Great Depression, Glendale actually had an abundance of jobs available through the factory and farming. As time went on, another cash crop started its rise in the Glendale economy. In 1938, a grapefruit soda by the name of Squirt was invented in Phoenix, Arizona. As the soda started to gain popularity, Glendale took this opportunity and ran with it. And soon enough, many Glendale farmers started to grow the citrus on their land, and even the old sugar beet factory in downtown Glendale was transformed into a processing plant for the grapefruits. Out of the successful economy during the 1950s is when Glendale really started to change. A mayor by the name of Byron Peck started to campaign a bill that would allow the city to annex surrounding farmland so that it would be converted into development land for businesses and housing. Byron Peck was merely trying to compete with Phoenix on developing both cities to cater the massive influx of migrants throughout the U.S. who were searching for a suburban lifestyle on the West Coast. Many people in the city rejected this rebellious notion until 1961, when Glendale annexed the northern portion of Maryvale, a newly formed community at the time. Soon after the purchase, Glendale nearly doubled in population size, and mayors after Peck started to capitalize on this annex frenzy. This boom in population alone was the catalyst for the city development. Year after year in the 1960s, Glendale kept buying out farmland and replacing it with home associations and businesses. By the beginning of 1970, Glendale nearly doubled again in population, making its growth exponential in size. One of the bigger farms still prevailed through this decade of change was Arrowhead Ranch. What started off as a vineyard, Arrowhead Ranch became one of the bigger citrus ranches in the valley after the citrus boom. It wasn't until 1977 when the ranch really started to lose power. On October 7, 1977, a newly formed organization for the civil rights of illegal immigrant workers helped incite a strike on the ranch property for the unfair treatment of the immigrant workers. This was called the Goldmar Strike. During the strike, many of the illegal immigrant workers walked off the property, and soon after, immigration services picked them up and deported them. The main reason why this got national attention was because the co-owner of Arrowhead Ranch was Bob Goldwater, brother to the local politician Barry Goldwater. After the scandal broke out, the Goldmar Incorporated had to sell its property, and Arrowhead Ranch closed its doors. Soon after Arrowhead Ranch closed its doors, urban developers capitalized on this property, and in the 1980s, the majority of northern Glendale was planned and developed into what would be the 90s and 2000s as we know today. I don't really know what the future holds for Glendale, Arizona. But I know two things are certain. One, history tends to repeat itself somewhere down the line. And two, as old memories fade, new memories begin, for better or for worse.
And so a vigorous modern culture replaces that of a bygone age in the Southwest. Comes the surge of modern life, the exploitation of resources by modern industry, the rising crescendo of the conquest of a continent.
We may follow some of our splendid modern highways on a swift tour of exploration, which will serve to acquaint us with her other resources, all significant in the economic picture of the state.